Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. Turn on the mic so all the people can hear me here tonight, because we got another good one for you. I am your head scumbag and master hairball, bastard of ceremonies, if you will, Mr. Rex Triple X Rex Ruger, a.k.a. David Lee Roth Jr., and we all know that. We can all just take one look at this mug and know that I am the son of glam, the front man for the band. Just smoked a few grams, got a million fans, always going out with a bang, shazam, a bop, bop, a loo, bop, a wop, bang, bang. This must be just like living in paradise. And that's right, I am in paradise tonight because, my God, do I have an interview that I am just so ecstatic to have. I mean, in the pantheon of great singers, this gentleman is there with the likes of me. And I'm going to leave it at that. And you know, as the lead singer of Come on the Rug, Tit Smacker, the Jizz Drops, you know, I'm the hardest working man in show business. I don't give a lot of props. I like the limelight on me. So to give this guy such high praise really means something. And I mean every word of it, because he is a crooner and a band I love. No doubt about that. I mean, this guy's voice just legendary. Legendary. I'd put him right up there as far as frontmen go. He's up there, man. He's, he may not be as high as me, but he's high up there. We'll see what he says. I don't know. So, letting him in here, as a matter of fact, I hope and pray that all goes well here. That's a big star right there.
Hey.
Man, I'm happy to look at your face, bro. It didn't work out for us the other night, man, but I'm glad it is now.
Yeah, I knew we'd get there eventually.
How often did you think that you'd be in the presence of David Lee Roth style greatness right here? Am I the spitting image?
You're getting pretty close.
Is my name Rex Ruger with 3 X's a little too glam, though?
No.
In the thrash world, I'd be drummed out for a name like that, would I not?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. Eric, AK from the legendary Flotsam and Jetsam. Why is it AK? Because your voice is like a gun?
AK stands for all-knowing.
All-knowing. I like that. I like this. You've got it all figured out at this point in life, huh? All-knowing?
Well, I wish.
Phoenix, Arizona, huh? How's the weather there? Beautiful?
It's 115 today.
A lot of time in the pool? No pool? Pool? No pool?
A lot of time in the air conditioning.
A lot of time in the air conditioning, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty hot here. I'm in upstate New York. We've hit the 90s today. That's pretty hot for us, the 90s.
Yeah, it's a little stickier there, though.
That's probably a cold snap.
Yeah, it's dry heat here, so it's more like an oven.
Yeah. Let me just go back into your career here and jump right in. When you guys make Doomsday for the Deceiver, and then you follow it up with No Place for Disgrace, one of the first album that received the legendary 6K rating by Kerrang. You know what 6K means? That's ass kicking. That's ass kicking.
That's ass kicking 6 times.
Yeah, the best album's kicking ass 5 times, and yours kicked it 6. That's high praise. Now, but my question is, when you put out 2 would have now years later become landmark, important, classic albums in that genre, is there always pressure to follow that up when you peak and hit the fans with shit like that just so early on?
There is pressure, but we really weren't feeling that pressure. I mean, our heads were so high in the clouds that we thought anything we did past that point was going to be gold. So, we just did what we did and hoped it came out the same as the first 2.
Yeah. On 88's No Place for Disgrace, which is top 5 all-time thrash album for me, in my mind. You do a cover on there of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, which could seem a little odd for a metal album. Who makes that choice for an Elton John cover?
You know, we all submitted a list of 5 or 6 songs that we wanted to cover,
Yeah.
and that was the only song that was on more than a couple lists.
Really?
So we picked that one just basically for that reason.
So all these big bad metalheads are in a room and they're settling on Elton John.
Yeah,
I love it.
Figure.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. Now, when so after Jason Newsted leaves for a slightly bigger gig, right? I mean,
little bigger.
a little bit bigger. What's the feeling when Jason breaks the news to you guys? Is it one of heartache? Is it anger? Are you really proud of your boy that he's getting this kind of a chance? Like, where does it leave the rest of the guys at that young age feeling?
It was all of those things.
Yeah.
You know, on one hand, Jason was basically the leader of the band. He was
Right.
writing most of the lyrics. He was helping write most of the tunes. He did all the business. And so, we, you know, on one hand, we were left a little lost because
Right.
we had to pick up where he left off and we really had no clue what we were doing.
Right.
But on the other hand, we were all had the same thought in mind. If Metallica asked me to go, I'd be gone in a second. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we really couldn't, you know, fault him for that in any way, shape, or form. So
it's a tough gig to turn down. It's a tough gig to say no to.
Turn down, and it was tough to feel bad for ourselves because we felt so good for him. So
Right.
it was
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot of torn emotions going on there.
So obviously, you know, he's part of your band early on, and then he goes on to, you know, to join what for many years was one of the biggest bands and still is on the planet. How much access and how much contact do you get with a Jason Newsted once he's in Metallica? You know, are you able to maintain a friendship, or does Jason become larger than life rock star?
Goose egg.
Goose egg.
It was.
Come on, Jason, give a brother a call. Come on, Jason.
You know, if it was up to Jason, he would have helped us out immensely. Yeah. But he was pretty much told, and I don't know by who exactly, but he was pretty much told, do not help them. Do not let them ride your coattails. Don't give them a hand up, nothing.
Wow. So, which surprises me because that actually was going to lead into my next question. Like, why never a Flotsam and Jetsam opening for Metallica on one of those big, gigantic tours?
No, they didn't want his joining Metallica to do anything for anybody but Metallica.
Is it a little bit sour grapes, knowing though that he could have probably single-handedly really launched you guys even more?
He could have. You know, really the only help that he was allowed to give us, we were recording. I think it was when the storm comes down, and he brought down a bass amp and cabinet for us to use.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it. That's the only help we've ever gotten out of the guy until he left Metallica, and then he's, you know, then all of a sudden he's down here having dinner with us a couple times a year. We jams with us once a year, and you know, I think he kind of felt bad that he couldn't help us, but it really wasn't his fault, so he didn't feel that bad, you know.
Right. So being as that you brought that up, when you do see Jason Newsted nowadays, in the light of everybody reuniting, is there ever any talk of hey, let's get the guys back together again with you back in the band?
There's always that talk.
Yeah.
Like I said, about once a year he comes to town, you know, maybe once every 2 years. He comes to town and he'll take us all out to dinner and drinks. We go jam for an hour or something. We talk about maybe we should do something, and then we don't see or hear from him again for another 2 years. So
Jason Newsted seems like a nice friend to go out for drinks for, though, man.
You know what? He's the same Jason he was when he was in Flotsam. He's the same goofy dude. He just has a lot more money now. But
sure does. I was a little worried. I was a little worried when he first left Metallica, because I thought when Metallica was going through those, you know, let's not beat around the bush, those kind of wimpy mid to late 90s years, I thought Jason was still kind of keeping the tenacity and the aggressiveness in the band. I thought for a while he was the only guy flying that flag for a while, because the rest of them seemed to get a little bit lost.
Yeah, you know, I kind of felt that way too for a while, but I don't know. They seem to be doing fine without him, although I think they'd be doing better with him. But,
I couldn't agree with you more.
Jason is a very intelligent, extremely talented guy, and they really lost something big when they lost him.
Yeah. Which and seemed like pretty much over his side project and just kind of ego, and it's a shame that it had to end so unfortunately. Now, in a genre where commercial success is extremely tough, as the music gets heavier, it seems like the album sales get a little more. You're not going out and selling a Bon Jovi album as opposed to a Flotsam and Jetsam album. It's a little hard to achieve commercial success. I mean, we could agree on that, right?
Oh, yes.
Have you had to at points of your life, or do you still ever have to take like a day job, or can you sustain just off of music?
When we're on the road, I can sustain off of just music. The minute we're home, I have to do something else to keep myself going.
Is it because you're crawling the walls?
No, it's just because the only time we make any money is when we're on the road.
Right.
So,
right.
It's all merch money, and, I get a measly paycheck while we're on the road. But when we're not on the road, there's no extra money coming in from album sales or anything like that. Nobody sells albums anymore. So.
Right. You're right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very true. The music business has certainly changed a lot, whether it's been for the good or the bad, or what technology's done to it. It seems like it's kind of put a big hole in you guys' wallet, though, to a certain extent, not them having changed as much as it has. It's very daunting to sell music nowadays, is it not?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to make money doing it, because all the rap guys seem to be making money. So
yeah.
There's a way to make money selling songs one at a time, I guess. But we've never dealt into that. We're very old school. We like to put out a whole record and sell the record.
And I was talking to somebody about that recently, and I talked to Perry Strickland, the drummer from Violence, the other night, and Violence just put out their last work was an EP, so they seem to be under the mindset of 4 or 5 songs, very well crafted and well done songs, but putting out large batches of songs sometimes can seem a little bit, because the album concept and the way people used to listen to albums was sit down and listen and experience the album. At least that's how I grew up listening to albums. You know what I mean? Like when you sat down and listened to, Dark Side of the Moon or something like that. I think I said that the other night too. You listen to the whole experience though. Like now it just seems like, it's kind of is that more that people aren't putting out great material?
I don't know if it's because they're not putting out great material, but people's attention spans are way shorter than they used to be.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, you see that reflected in the length of movies.
Yeah, we're lucky if we can get a person to sit through an entire song, much less an experience of an album. So
yeah, very tough nowadays.
Difficult now.
Now, what's your because you had once been quoted as saying somewhere, and I can't remember the exact quote, but that you're always down and ready to sing. Like your voice is your instrument, but you're always down to go, right? You can go at any time, singing wise.
Yes and no. I mean, it takes a lot of warm up and take care of myself, but yeah, I'm ready for anything, anytime, basically.
So what's the pre-show ritual like? Is it voice exercises, warming up? How do you take care of that instrument, you yourself? Because you're obviously you're certainly not known as one of the growlers in the genre. You're certainly known for actually what sounds like to be a real, true, gifted singing voice.
I've always told people that my regiment is cigarettes and Jack Daniels, because if I don't, I sing like a 12-year-old girl. So the cigarettes and the Jack Daniels make me sound a little more manly. But, now that I'm getting older, I have to actually take care of myself and do warm up and have the hot tea and all that stuff and be the professional that I knew I could be all these years. I just never did.
Is it getting harder? Do you notice the changes in your voice as you get older, or does it still feel like you can get up there and just grab the mic and do what you did in your 20s?
I definitely need the warm-ups and this, stretching out the voice. And it's not necessarily so I can sing tonight. The warm-ups are so I can sing tomorrow night. After tonight.
Right. So you're thinking, you're thinking long-term. So does that mean that as you get older, then does that mean that you have to double up the recipe? Does that mean more Jack Daniels?
Well, sometimes.
More than in your 20s.
I stick to the Jack Daniels after the show now instead of before. So.
Okay, fair enough. So you're still down in Arizona right now, right? You still always been in Arizona?
Yep.
What's the metal scene like down there? You guys have given us great bands like yourself, Sacred Reich. I'm probably not going to remember another goddamn one of them, but there's 2 right there.
There is. I'm not sure what what the problem is, why they can't go anywhere, but there is so many great local bands here. Every one of them has one little problem. Either they don't quite know how to write a good hooky song,
Right.
or they've got one member that's holding them back, or there's always something, but there is so much freaking talent here. It's unbelievable.
So definitely a burgeoning music scene down there then. It's still on and cracking down in Arizona.
Yeah, you can go, any weekend to any of the 4 or 5 decent clubs here, and you can see 7 really good bands.
And thrash bands, or just of all genres?
Well, it depends on which club you go to, but yeah, thrash bands, you can get, 5 or 6 good thrash bands in a row.
Oh, that's
and,
nice. That's nice.
And not be disappointed at all.
So after 14 studio albums, which I think, after 14 albums, do you ever look around at the other thrash bands, or like when you look at like those, big 4? And I've asked some of the other guys in the thrash genre this exact same question. I don't mean to sound redundant, but I'd like to get your take on it. When you see like a tour like that go out, like the big 4, do you kind of look back and think, well, hey, we've been kicking ass a long time. What the fuck makes you guys the big 4? You know what I mean? Like because admittedly, like I said earlier, there has been some periods of let up with Metallica or, Slayer, Megadeth. They both had a clunker or two in there that made you think like, they've eased off the gas a little bit. But when you get bands like you, Overkill, Testament, bands that are just constantly have the foot to the gas pedal, do you think like, who the fuck are you guys to be the big 4 thrash? What about us?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been a lot of jealousy going on because, bands like us, Death Angel, Exodus, we don't
Where's your
see
festival? Yeah.
We don't see ourselves as lesser bands than the big 4, but
right.
The big 4 got not only luckier, but they have better management, maybe better label participation, maybe some better festivals they got on at the right time. So it's just a matter of, it's not a matter of who's more talented. It's a matter of who's smarter, I think.
And you got to admit, some of it sometimes even is chalked up to luck and timing.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
Yeah. Because I look at that combination. Of course, being out here on the East Coast, obviously out in the West, and particularly the Bay Area, always been a huge thrash scene out there. We have our Overkill and our Anthrax and some good ones over here on the East Coast. But I've always kind of thought that it seems a little bit on the pretentious side sometimes to think like, hey, we're the best 4. And I didn't know when they set that tour up if they're thinking more from a commercial aspect, because those are probably the best 4 selling thrash bands of all time.
Right.
From a commercial success standpoint. But, if you're thinking who's defined thrash from the beginning of their career to the end of their career without any hiccups in the middle, I think some of those bands have made a misstep along the way.
Yeah, it really, most of the entire music industry has really nothing to do with who's more talented. It really has to do with who's more popular. And that could be for a million different reasons.
Right. So the last release, 2021's Blood in the Water, just crushing, heavy, melt your fucking face riffs, phenomenal vocals. After all this time, and as you get older and people are supposed to, mellow as they get older, where do you still find, what's the creative spark to sit down and roll that kind of heavy shit out? Do you get your inspiration from movies, the news, what's going on around you in the social landscape? Where do you draw that from?
It's from a lot of places. For me personally, my voice has gotten a lot better over the years.
Yeah.
A lot tougher. I know my limitations a lot better. I have a lineup in the band right now that is full of the most professional musicians I've ever worked with ever.
Yep.
And that helps a lot because they all have great inputs instead of just goofy ideas.
Right.
So that helps a lot. Bands like I say, Death Angel, those guys have been working their butts off forever. Yeah. And they're at the same kind of spot. They are extremely professional musicians who know what they're doing. And so it's a little easier for them to put out great records right now, just like it is for us. So it's experience has a lot to do with it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Totally agree with that. So since I have you on here, and I've been hitting this question off of a lot of the metal guys on here, just because it is current, big news right now. Where do you stand on this whole Pantera reunion? You for it? Against it? What do you think about the big lineup with Zakk Wylde and Charlie from Anthrax that we're going to get with Phil and Rex?
I look at it as if Pantera was going out and, the two brothers were sick and they had to have somebody fill in. Those are two of the best fill-ins you could get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the same time, it's not going to be the same as long as nobody expects it to be. It's right. Two of the guys from Pantera trying to go out and do some of the older tunes and see if they can make a little money probably, or excite some people or something. But
right.
It's definitely not going to be the same, but I would go watch for sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were. I think the knock I see on social media is just a lot of people worrying about it being like a cash grab, or being a cash grab, or they feel like it somehow tarnishes the legacy of the Abbott brothers. So I've kind of seen those two arguments against it from what I've seen online.
Yeah, and I kind of get that, but I think they're more looking at it of the nostalgia of the whole thing.
Right.
Pantera ended far too early, and it's time to just come out and show people, hey,
yeah,
there still could have been a really cool Pantera.
Yeah,
if these two guys hadn't left us,
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. Now, in your travels over the years, did you ever come in contact with the guys in Pantera?
Oh yeah.
And do you think, in light of the terrible tragedy of Dime and then the untimely passing of Vinny, that you think that knowing them as people, would they have been okay with this?
I think so. Those guys were pretty laid back. I mean, they were pretty easy.
From what I hear, yeah. From what I hear, pretty forgiving guys.
Right. And they're probably, looking down on the other two dudes right now, just going, hey, do what you want to do,
Right.
It's not hurting them at all. So they're
right. Right. It seems like they've got the blessing of Dime's wife and surviving family members. So
yeah, and Dime and Vinny were both really, really cool guys.
Yeah.
So I don't think they've ever had a problem with anything ever, except for maybe, cold
not enough
food
booze.
McDonald's or something.
2004. We're on that subject. When Dimebag does die in that sudden, unexpected way, where are you when you hear that news? Because that's obviously something that stands out, almost like a John Lennon in the thrash metal circles, because that isn't something that happens.
Yeah. I believe I was at home in between tours, but my first thought was, what the hell are they going to do now?
Yeah.
And what's the rest of us going to do without that talent to fall behind?
Devastating.
And it was just a tragedy for everybody. I don't think there was anyone on the planet that was like, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just not a good thing. And that guy's, Dimebag was never mean to anybody in his life ever.
Having not met him, but seeing what's been left behind of him from video footage and archival interviews and stuff like that, I get that sense from him. Just kind of one of those like, hey, let's just have a good time. Bottoms up,
Yeah, one of my best friends on the planet was his guitar tech for a while.
Okay.
And maybe a couple of years after Dimebag died, my friend died in a car accident, and that was one of the big things in the local paper here was Dimebag has his tech back now. So it was kind of a cool thing. So
yeah, absolutely. When you think of and what makes me think of this is I just recently went with my wife to see the new Elvis movie, and when I left it, phenomenal movie. When I left there, I started to think about, when you see the whole Elvis experience, the jumpsuits, the rings, the kissing the girls in the front row, the whole show, Do you think that still exists? And what makes a good frontman, since you're a frontman yourself? Because you don't see a lot of people really deliver the show, and you seem like somebody who really puts a lot into making sure that you're delivering a high quality show rather than just coming off as like phoning it in. You're always giving people a solid, vocal performance. You're not kind of half-assing it. I know right now Vince Neil's taking a lot of flack on the big stadium tour for using a teleprompter and singing half the songs and letting the crowd sing the other half. How do you balance that? How do you know that you're being a good frontman, and what do you have to do to be a good frontman?
My whole career, I've been so worried about getting the notes out right and hitting the lines right and not being flat and all that I really didn't pay attention to being a frontman or a showman.
Right.
It wasn't just until the last 4 or 5 years that I've actually put my mind on putting on a show and being a frontman and being connected with the audience.
Right.
Bobby Blitz actually taught me a lot about that. He's one of the best frontmen in the business.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yep. I personally do not like his singing voice, but as a frontman, he is one of the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't beat the guy. And after watching him on a couple tours, it really knocks some sense into me about connecting with the audience, and you have to kind of act out what you're singing and not just be singing.
I could see that. Yeah. I've only seen Overkill once back in 2013, but I would agree with everything that you're saying from what I remember from that performance. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And he kind of told me that if you don't believe what you're singing or what you're saying, or at least feel it, nobody else is going to either.
Right.
So
right.
That rang a big bell in my head as far as becoming a frontman and, connecting with the audience and making sure they have a good time.
Right. Are you a parent yourself to children?
Yeah.
Grandparent as well? Five kids of your own? How about grandchildren? Any grandchildren yet?
Not yet.
I've got 6 grandchildren myself. How about any of your children? Any of your children following in the heavy metal footsteps, or any interest in bands or music?
I have, my oldest son was on the season 11 of American Idol, made it to the top 10.
That's right.
He's got a contract.
Right on.
A so-called contract with Sony Records.
Okay.
So he's been working on his album for a long, long time now.
Is it metal?
No. It's kind of Maroon 5 meets Michael Jackson kind of stuff.
Okay. Kind of a departure from what Dad does then.
Yeah, big money stuff, not this metal stuff. My youngest daughter has an amazing voice. I can't really get her to sing in front of anybody, but she has an amazing voice. So I have to get her to do something with it.
Yeah. You've spread the talent. Definitely. That's phenomenal. Yeah. So
I have another son who's our merch guy. He's on tour with us all the time. So everybody's, trying to get involved a little bit.
How does that work when you take family out on tour? Do you find that when you're out on tour, as you get older, that you want to have family members around? Like, I know, having gone to see Soulfly not that long ago, I know Max Cavalera always has the wife with him. The kids are in the band, so he's kind of got the whole family act going around in the bus there. Is that what it's like when Flotsam and Jetsam goes on tour?
No, not really. We kind of use tour as an escape from the families.
Are you saying as a married man you need an escape?
Yeah, sometimes.
I'm shocked.
I don't need it, but I think it keeps me married.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You know what I mean? I get out of the wife's hair for a while and she doesn't hate me so much.
All right. Now, so I think the people that would be watching this and interested in what you have to say are obviously going to know that you have a phenomenal voice. Who do you look at as the guys who, when you hear their voice, you say, whoa, I'm stopping and listening, man. Like, this guy's voice or this girl's voice really does it for me. This is someone that I'll listen to sing 7 days a week.
There's a bunch, actually. I really like female singers a lot. Amy Lee's one of my favorites from Evanescence.
I'm so glad that you just said that right now, because that's my wife's name.
Oh, really?
Her maiden name was Lee. I just put that out there for the whole Pod Scum audience, but that's all right. That's all right because she's now married and has a married name. But yeah, her maiden name was Lee. She's not Asian, so don't. That's usually the first thing someone assumes that you married an Asian girl, huh?
I've always been a big fan of the bigs. Halford, Bruce Dickinson. I've always, I will listen to them sing the phone book. I don't care. They're awesome.
Rob Halford was my introduction to heavy metal too. He was the first voice singing for a heavy band, and I'm really hoping I've yet to see them in all my 49 years of existence, see them live yet, but they're coming around for the big 50-year tour this year.
I'll tell you what, he's 70. He still sounds great.
50,
he still sounds amazing.
50 years. Now, because it sounds like we're both kind of clicking here on being Judas Priest fans. I'm getting that off of you. I can hear a lot of that influence in your voice and on your records. They'll always hold a soft spot, like I said, because they were the ones that kind of introduced me to metal. When you look back and you think about everything that Rob Halford's been through as far as having to come out of the closet, do you think that it tarnished Judas Priest's legacy? Or do you think that that he's given a pass because he is the metal god? You can't count that as a cross against the metal god. I mean, a strike against the metal god.
No, not only that, but not only is Rob good enough to conquer anything that comes his way just with his voice.
He's the best.
But the whole metal world family is much more accepting about things than other genres of music or even other anything, political stuff, whatever. Right. The whole metal world is a little more accepting of everything. I think.
But it also does sometimes carry that kind of connotation of being macho and rebellious and tough. So I think in light of that, though, I think what he did was actually extremely brave and courageous, coming out at the time of their career that they did and just being willing to come out at all, in a genre of music that is usually known for its tough, I mean, he used to come out in leather pants and riding a motorcycle, I mean, he was obviously trying to project an image of, being a badass.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but the guy's 6'4".
Yeah.
He used to be 6'4", 300 pounds. And it's like, who's going to get in his face and call him, a gay guy or whatever, or give him any kind of shit about it. I wouldn't,
Right. He just recently did his memoir. He's put down his life in a book form. Have you lived a life worthy of a book, or will Eric AK ever write a book, or is it not even something that's even on your radar?
I've been in the middle of writing a book for about 2.5 years now.
Okay.
I keep putting it off because I get busy doing one thing or another. I've got a construction company I'm running, and so it's something I can only get to spend 10-15 minutes a week on, so it might take forever. But and most of my career I don't remember, so I have to rely on other people who were there to tell me what happened. So
so I'm glad you touched on that, because you said a lot of my career I don't remember, and I'm taking it that's from excessive partying, drinking, whatever your temptations were out on the road. How did you manage then to to find a way to deliver top-notch vocal performances night in and night out, and maintain that instrument that you have to take care of, it being the human voice, and still be able to kind of live with reckless abandon? How did you balance that out?
I really don't know. Until I started getting older, I was Superman. I could do anything. I could do blow all night long and still sing great the next night. I've never canceled a show because of my voice ever. Matter of fact, we played Kalamazoo, Michigan one, and I couldn't talk at all. I couldn't sing. And I got up on stage with one of our crew guys, and I told him, hey, ask the audience, I can't sing. Do they still want the band to play? I'll just stand up here and dance around like an idiot. And the crowd went nuts. They wanted us to play anyway. So I just stood up there and danced around like an idiot. And the band played the whole set without me. So, we've never actually canceled a show because of my throat, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
But I used to be Superman. I could do anything. And now that I've gotten older, I've gotten to realize if I don't take care of it, it's going to go away.
See, that's the payoff being in the glam world over here like me and not being in the thrash world. You're doing blow, but I'm doing blow off of a stripper's ass.
Yeah, this is metal, dude. We don't get girls at the show.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that point up next. It is a very male dominated, and going to so many metal shows as I have, hardcore shows, whatever. I can't get my wife to go to any of them, and I refuse to not have to allow not having somebody to roll with stop me from going to a show. Just went a couple weeks ago to see Agnostic Front and Sick of It All. Two bands I know I'm not going to get my wife to go. If they were Motley Crue and Skid Row, she'd be going. But it wasn't, so I roll out there by myself. And what you said earlier, speaking to your point earlier about the camaraderie in the metal community, I found every time that I go to a show, someone will either comment on your shirt or kind of give you a kind of a nod. And then all of a sudden you're talking and you've just connected and met some people. The metal community is great that way. Have you seen it that way?
Yeah, and it's even more so like in Europe. We've done hundreds of festivals over there. I've never seen a fight at a festival. I've never seen security dragging somebody out. Never over there.
Yeah.
It's always metal festivals that it's that way, People are just there to listen to music, and it gets their aggressions out, and they don't take it out on the guy next to you. They take it out on their ears,
Right. So you've obviously got a whole view of the crowd up there when you're on stage. Do you remember anything that stands out when you're looking out into a crowd, something that you saw that actually made you think like, what the fuck is going on out there? What's the craziest thing you've seen from your view up there front of the stage?
Oh, there's been a lot of crazy things. I saw a couple guys being crowd surfed from, this was a big festival, being crowd surfed from the soundboard all the way up to the stage completely naked.
Holy.
And people would not put them down. They kept them up the whole time just so cameras could see them, so they could get them up.
Are the hands that are moving them around, are they strategically avoiding the whole penis balls area?
I would hope so.
I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope so.
We played the Ritz in New York with Megadeth early in our career.
Yeah.
And that was before anybody was doing stage dives and stuff. And I dove out onto the crowd. They passed me around the whole place, put me back up on stage.
Yeah.
Never went down. But when I got back up on stage, my wallet was gone. My pass was gone. My rings were gone. My microphone was gone. Everything was gone.
What do you do in that situation?
I was on top of people the whole time. How did that happen?
And what do you do in that situation? Do you make an announcement, or do you go into the crowd and start looking around for fucking somebody? I mean,
I did find one of my rings after everybody cleared out on the floor, but
holy shit, that's fucking crazy. Okay, let me go back and ask now. When you make an album like we spoke earlier, Doomsday for the Deceiver, No Place for Disgrace, I don't think anybody would argue. That know anything about thrash, that those are landmark, important, what have gone down now as legendary classics in the genre. What do you look at outside of your own work and say, man, that's a thrash classic? What album or albums do you look at in your own genre and say, man, that's...
some of the early Metal Church stuff.
Okay.
Really, any of the Dio records.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can hear the influence of Dio in your voice too. Definitely.
I was a big Dio fan for sure.
Yeah.
When Holy Diver came out, I'd listen to that thing until my stereo on my truck broke. So
small guy, right? Big, huge voice coming from this little diminutive guy. Crazy.
And I just the softest, sweetest dude you've ever want to meet in your life. I mean,
so you've had the privilege of meeting him.
I did once, yeah.
Yeah. So on tour, and I'm sure, and obviously you've been on tour with a lot of bands. Who stands out as far as other bands that you just love to tour with, where you see that you're touring with them and you're just like, oh, this is going to be a good time?
Well, I'll tell you, some of the most comfortable tours we've been on, even though they were really rough touring wise, but as far as touring with other bands, King Diamond was one of the coolest.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Another guy with a great voice.
Yeah. We've probably done 190 shows on the King Diamond Them tour.
Yeah.
We've probably done 250 shows with Megadeth.
Yep.
We've been out with a lot of really great bands. some of the funnest tours I've been on, probably Overkill tours.
Yeah.
Always a
Yeah,
blast.
Bobby Blitz seems like one hell of a fun guy to be around.
Those guys are all just great to be around.
Yeah.
You know,
And you hear
Dee Dee's
that
in
out
there
there? That's some East
but-
Coast boys right there too. They belong to
Yeah.
us over here on the
Yep.
East Coast. We got to claim a couple of them because the West Coast has got all the fucking badasses.
Yeah, you know, Dee Dee's a little standoffish. He doesn't hang out
Yeah.
too much, but he's a super nice guy. So
Yeah.
it's those guys are just a blast to tour. We did a whole big old European tour with them. It was amazing. We've done a couple tours with Testament. That was amazing.
Great guys. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't think we've ever toured with a bigger band where we're just like, that sucked. You know, we shouldn't be opening up for them kind of thing.
When you end up on these tours, how much of it is the band that's headlining or any of the bands? How much input do you guys have in terms of putting the packages together? Like, do you really, because me not being a musician myself, how does that work? Like, can you talk to the guys in Testament or Overkill and say, let's tour together? Or is that all put together by people that make those decisions?
It depends. It's a little different each time. Sometimes it's an agent or a manager, you know, working that aspect of trying to get you on a tour. I know in the case of like Overkill and Megadeth, you know, Dave Mustaine picked us out of a group of bands and just said, I like these guys. We're taking them on tour with us. So
yeah.
We did some really good tours with them. The King Diamond thing, I think, was management arranged that for us. And
so, in other words, a guy like Dave Mustaine, after achieving a large amount of success with Megadeth, he's got the clout in the business to go and say, in his position, I want to bring Flotsam and Jetsam out on tour.
He does. I mean, he will listen to his management, and just if they say that's not a good idea, because he'll listen to him and make up his mind after that. But it's ultimately up to him. I mean, he's the king of that world.
Obviously, I can tell watching footage of you. I haven't ever seen you guys live, but I've watched lots of footage online of you guys at festivals and at different gigs and seen what you do live. When a guy like Dave Mustaine sticks his neck out and gets you guys on tour, obviously you guys bring it hard every single night, but do you feel a little bit more like, God damn, this guy really, really wanted us, man? I mean, I'm going fucking real fucking hard.
He not only likes our band and our music, he wanted to help us out in the career a little bit. You know what I mean? He put us on so many shows. I got to tell you this Dave Mustaine story.
Sure, please.
We opened up for them at Celebrity Theater here in Phoenix years and years ago. And I was messing with him backstage a little bit because we've been friends for a while.
Yeah.
So I was, just pranking him a little, talking some crap about him. So he gets up on stage after we're done. They get about 2 songs in, and he says, by the way, to the 4,000 people that were there, the after party is at AK's house, and he gave out my address.
Oh, no.
There were 4,000 people at my house that night.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, Dave, you got me back. Thanks a lot.
What about Dave? Does Dave show up to the party? Does Dave show up?
Dave showed up. He brought a bottle. He locked himself and me in my room, and we sat in there and drank and partied all night while 4,000 people tore my house apart.
Oh, that's a great story. Not the part about your house being torn up. That I feel bad about. I mean, so
it was a rental. I didn't care.
So obviously it's been widely publicized here recently that Dave has been having his battles with his personal health. I believe the last thing I read on him was that he was doing pretty good, but that he was battling some cancer. How about a guy like him? How much contact do you still have with a guy like him?
I just saw him at Hellfest a few weeks ago.
Okay. And so you could probably confirm, how is he doing?
He's doing pretty good. I mean, he looks like a 90-year-old woman, but he still sounds good. He's still playing good. He seemed to be in really good spirits when I talked to him for 2 seconds. We were passing by each other.
Yeah.
But Dave's a monster. He's pretty unstoppable. So
yeah. He does seem pretty unstoppable. After having read his book too, and all the trips back and forth to rehab and what he's put himself through, it's a pretty big testament to the durability of that guy. So
Yeah. He's been at it a long time, so he knows the ins and outs in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah. When you get to be, well, I'll just say it, Eric. You're an old fart. I think you know that too. As am I. Um, as you start getting, no. You're still rocking harder and putting on a better show than most guys in bands half your age. So you're showing up the young guys how to get it done, I think. Do you see any young artists out there right now? Young artists, who you kind of have your eye on, or you think, wow, this band's gonna break big, or I like this member of this band? Do you see anybody? I know there's some good young thrash bands out there. Is there anybody that's really bowled you over that you've been watching the progression of?
There are a few. One I'm really proud of is Nervosa. Those girls work their butts off.
Yeah.
The thing I like about them is they're not up there in little frilly things and tight skirts and all that.
Right.
They're just a metal band up there jamming. They dress like a metal band, they act like a metal band, they play like a metal band. They're not up there trying to use their butts and boobs to get popularity.
That's
They're
refreshing.
using their talent.
Yeah,
and that's
refreshing.
One of the things I really like about them, and they seem to be shooting up very quickly right now, which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice. I've got a band that I've recently started being in contact with, and they're young guys from over in South America, Chile to be exact. And the name of the band is Critical Defiance. And I shit you not, Eric, these guys are like going back in time and listening to like a young, hungry Sepultura. I'm really hoping that they break big. And I've been talking to, they're really young guys. I'm trying to get the lead singer and guitar player onto the podcast. They're actually even a little skittish about doing press. I think the translation in the communication, but he seems to type back to me in English. And he asked me something very weird when I first approached him to get on the, I don't think he'd mind me telling the story. We've been talking a little bit. He said to me on there, do you know any, I don't know what he said specifically, management or anybody that could help him over here in this country. And I felt bad telling him, like, I'm just a guy with a day job that does a podcast, but I'd love to see his band get big. It probably is that daunting though for a young band though right now, right? Like, what do you tell a young band, what direction to go in right now? Well, if he was posing that question to you, what do you tell him? Because he's obviously looking for answers in a world where it's tough to get your music out to people.
It's just as tough for us as anybody else.
Yeah.
It's a completely different world than what we grew up doing in this band. And, we're just now learning, just like all the new bands are,
right,
the right path to take for things. And the only plus that we have is our history and, the fact that we've been doing this forever.
Right.
But other than that, the whole internet thing has just completely changed the whole music industry and flipped it upside down.
Yeah,
and
it really
we're
has.
just learning just like they are. A lot of the new bands have a better grip on how to get your name and your songs out there than we do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Getting back to what I brought the Big Four earlier, if you had to put on your concert promoter hat and you didn't have access to Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, or Anthrax, and you're putting together a Big Four right now, who's your Big Four of thrash? Careful now. I know it's a slippery slope. I hate to put you on the spot like that. And you can put your own band in there too.
I don't know if I can limit
you guys in there.
Yeah, I don't know if I can limit it to just four.
It's tough. It is very tough.
Wow, that's a really good one.
While you're sitting there giving it a think, Eric, I would go with Flotsam, Death Angel. Yeah, it is tough because now I'm thinking violence, and now I'm also thinking Overkill, and I'm thinking Nuclear Assault, and I'm thinking all kinds of bands. You're right, Eric. Shitty fucking question.
That's a tough one, man, because there was Testament in there.
Exodus.
Oh, geez,
it is hard.
It's got to be in there, so that's a really tough one.
Fuck! Thanks for calling me out on that, Eric. I needed that, man. You gave me a reality check right there. I need to be knocked down a couple pegs once in a while. It's not easy.
I hear you.
Here we are, just a couple of two great frontmen sitting here, right?
What can we do?
So, what's next for Flotsam and Jetsam? When will we see a new? I know we just saw in 2021 a new album. I know you're probably thinking like, Jesus Christ, we just gave you something, for God's sake. But what about how soon do you want to get another album out to the people?
I've got about a third of an album written.
Okay.
We really, right now, we have nothing on the books until July of next year. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be something that comes up before then, but next year we're going to Brazil for the first time ever.
Okay.
That'll be nice because we've got a lot of fans down there who've never seen us.
Okay. Nice.
But we're in the middle of just writing this team of writers and my lineup right now that I've got.
Yeah.
Those guys write like 40 songs for a record.
Yeah. But it's probably nice to have an accumulation of material, right? I mean, it's nice to have shit, kind of, archived, right, and ready to go.
Right. We used to write 10 songs, and those were the 10 songs on the album, and that was it.
Right. Yeah, it was very formulaic back then. So what's the writing process like? Do you guys get together in a room? Do you write individually? And if you write individually, because I know you said you're going to be around today writing some songs, what kind of environment, what kind of preparations do you make when you say, I'm going to sit down in your house or wherever you do it and say, I'm going to write today?
The guys, the two guitar players, Mike and Steve, usually send me songs that are fairly completed in their mind.
Okay.
With some kind of computer drum program on them or something, just to get the beats in there.
Right.
And they see what kind of melody I come up with, melody and lyrics I come up with for it. And that's when we decide whether to continue with this song or take pieces out of it and build something else.
Okay.
So it's really, they come up with some great stuff for me. And if I don't ruin it, then we continue with it. And if I do ruin it, then they
where do you get the motivation? Where do you get the motivation for the writing? You sit down with just like what? Your computer, a notebook, a pad? Like, what's the preparation like? You just plop down in your favorite chair? Do you go to your den? Do you have a specific place to write?
Right where I'm sitting right here. It's my little computer office. I've got Pro Tools on here. I got a little microphone sitting here, and I just write and listen to the music, and usually with my headphones on so I don't disturb anyone else in the house.
And do you go in with like any preconceived ideas, like I just watched this movie, or I just saw this on the news, or I really want to write a song or several songs about this that's going on or that's going on? Do you go in there with any kind of a notion of where you want to go in your head when you walk in there before you start writing?
Sometimes I do. If there's something some movie or a newscast I've watched that really kind of hit me,
yeah,
I will come in here with that in mind. But usually I play the song for my wife, one of my kids, something like that, and I'll say, just listen to this music and tell me what it makes you think of. And that I kind of go from there. A lot of times the guys will send me a song with a mock title on it.
Yeah.
And I use that title as inspiration and go off of that.
Yeah.
So it's always something different.
Yeah. Are the people in your house that you're bouncing the music off of, your wife, your family, whoever's there, are they tolerant of metal? Are they fans themselves, or are they like, oh God, I don't care, I don't want to hear it?
They are. My wife is tolerant of most metal. She really does not like Cookie Monster vocals very much. But
yeah. Cookie Monster vocals.
Yeah.
I've lost my ears for Cookie Monster vocals too. And I've told other people on here before, when I was young, you're looking to push the envelope and try to find the hardest, fastest stuff you can. And then you get to a point where you're just like, somewhere along the line, I think this has not become music anymore. I hate to say that.
It got to the point where I'm kind of going, you've got a great band, but you have no singer. So you just have some guy yell. No, go find a singer.
Yeah. Now, do you get out and see Now, do you get out yourself as a fan and see a lot of live music? I mean, obviously, I know you're on tour with people. You might go out and watch a little bit of their set, but you just spoke about having a lot of time off here. Will you go see live bands?
I try to. I don't always get the opportunity to. And plus, my wife doesn't let me go out of the house without her. So I have to wait on her to get ready, which means I missed most of the bands by the time we get there.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir there, buddy. I hear you.
Drives me nuts.
I hear you.
But I try to. I've got a few bands in town that I try to catch most of the time. It's hard to get out and get someplace early enough to catch all the bands for the night, which is what I'd really like to do.
Right. So if you go out for the night, what's the over under on how long it takes to get the wife out of the house? Hour, more or less?
Dude, if I tell her we're leaving 2 hours before I want to leave, she's still late.
right, so you had said now Flotsam and Jetsam's got a big chunk of time coming off. So does that mean that you sit and you wait for offers? Or do you have a tour already booked? Or how does that work? Like if people want to get you to play, like for instance, like if I want to have a pool party next week and I want Flotsam and Jetsam to come play it, I shell out the money. You guys will come.
Oh yeah.
What's it cost me to get? What's it cost me to get Flotsam and Jetsam at a pool party?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Probably like $5,000 plus expenses.
Wow. Wow. You hear that, audience? Eric A.K. could be singing Flotsam and Jetsam on your pool deck.
That's right.
Yeah. That's a great deal. That's a great deal. Now, how about me opening for you? Or that can't happen. Too glam?
We don't care who opens for us.
Okay, well, that's nice to hear. Now, I'm saying too glam, but being able to upkeep your image as a metal, a thrash metal singer. Are there bands though that you listen to that people would be shocked and say, "Oh my God, you listen to them"? Who's somebody?
I listen to everything but gangster rap. So when I'm working all day, we do a bunch of bathroom kitchen remodel stuff.
Yeah.
At the company I'm running, I listen to Michael Bublé all day long.
Really?
Yeah, I love his voice. Love it. I listen to a lot of Evanescence. I listen to Hailstorm. I listen to a bunch of cool stuff. I actually listen to Maroon 5 once in a while. So
yeah,
it's I listen to a bunch of different stuff, basically because it's very hooky. Gets stuck in your head.
Sure.
And it gives me good melody line ideas. So
yeah. What's wrong with that little inspiration, right?
Yep.
So when in 2021, or well, maybe it was even earlier than that, when COVID hit, how big of a wrench did it put in what you currently had going on? Where were you guys in the creative process? Were you ready to put on an album? That's going back a couple of years. And how did COVID affect the Flotsam and Jetsam camp specifically, or derail any plans that you may have had?
We were not able to really push the couple of albums that we've put out since COVID hit.
Okay.
It didn't really hurt us too much, except for, we didn't have the merch sales, because that's really the only way we make any money is on merch sales.
Yeah.
So you can't go out and tour and make any damn money. But, we did put out a couple of really great records in a row.
Indeed.
And the fact that everybody's stuck at home with nothing to do but listen to music did some good for us. But it would have been nice to have been out there doing live shows, pushing those records.
Did you like acts that were doing these? Where were your feelings on these cyber shows?
Everybody was trying something, we talked about it a little bit. We did a song with some past and present members. We put that out. It wasn't really to make money. It was just to kind of keep our name in people's ears. So,
right.
But, everybody was just reaching for, what do we do? We can't really go out and tour. Let's do something.
Right.
So I think it's brilliant that people were trying to do some kind of cyber show type of thing.
Yeah.
Or, at least some kind of live, anybody can interview us type of stuff.
Right.
So,
you had said earlier that you really enjoy female vocalists. And I've said it on here before, my favorite female vocalist has always been Bret Michaels. But that's just me. That's me, Wait. Why are you laughing, Eric? What's so funny? He doesn't fit the bill?
Yeah, actually he does.
He's close. I mean, I know I'm not saying much here with this blonde coif here, but
he's such a beautiful guy in his younger days. I would have done him.
Yeah. You might have had a few drunken nights where you might have looked pretty good. Right? I mean, hey, I know I have. Okay, if you're starting a band and you need a female singer, though, and someone's telling you pick the front woman for this band, who do you pick? Who's a female singer that you just respect and would put right out there in the front of your band? Joan Jett, Lita Ford. Who do you like?
Ann Wilson would probably be my first choice.
Ann Wilson?
She'd probably be one of my first choice. Amy Lee's just amazing, so she'd be right up there in the choices. Well, that's pretty good. There's a lot of really good female artists out. So the what is her name? Almond, or Allred. She was the actual voice for. I'm a little brain dead right now.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. How about side projects? Are there any side projects that you do outside of Flotsam and Jetsam? I thought you had kind of like a country side project that you do, don't you?
I got a band called the AK Corral,
Okay.
and we put one really crappy album out that has kind of a weird cult following on the West Coast. I've been working on.
Can this album be found out there on music platforms? Is this album accessible to the public?
I think the whole album is on YouTube. One
Okay.
One song at a time on there.
And why are you saying it's a crappy album? Are you just being like overly self-critical?
We didn't work very hard on it. We just kind of did it for fun and put it out just for something to do.
Okay.
It could have been the production could have been a lot better. We could have spent a little more time on the songs, but you know, Andreas from Sepultura is on one of the songs.
Oh, okay. Got some heavy hitters. Okay.
Yeah, we got a guy from Satanic Industries Limited down there playing some of the songs. A couple Flotsam guys, some old crew guys. So it was all metalheads doing it.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Cool.
So,
yeah, it was all right.
In your spare time down there in beautifully hot Arizona, what do you do like when you do have this kind of time off? Like, what do you do like for fun, hobbies, stuff like that? Like when you're not working, like, you know, how do you unwind?
Oh, I do a lot of camping.
I can show you a little sign language. Mine's a little.
I do a lot of that. A lot. I got a dispensary right down the road that's so easy to get to, and they always have the best. So, you know, I've got my horse ranch. I spend a lot of time there. Yeah.
That's where I got a hold of you the other day. I think you were down doing some farming and running around down there playing with the animals. It looked like you were having a ball there. That's the life, huh? Do you want to leave there sometimes? Like when you have to go on tour, I know you said earlier that you're happy to get out of there, but is there parts of it that you do like miss though of your daily routine?
I've got a lot of animals. And, I hate to leave them even for 10 minutes. So
yeah,
but other than that, you know, the ranch pretty much runs itself. I got my son runs the ranch and my nephew, and I've got a sister who does all the business side of it. So it pretty much runs itself without me there.
Okay.
So,
nice.
You know, I just love riding the horses. So that's why I'm there all the time.
When you guys are sitting around, and I know I'm bouncing all over the place here, but when you guys are sitting down starting the band, where does Flotsam and Jetsam come from? Who focuses in on that name? Because, you know, when you see all these other bands going for Slayer, Overkill, you know, all these like violence, all these over the top, you know, scary sounding names. It seemed like everybody was going for the scary effect. Where's Flotsam and Jetsam come from?
That was a Jason Newsted thing. It was two explorers from a J.R. Tolkien book that got lost and never seen from again.
Right.
And he kind of liked that. And then he looked up at the definition of it, and it was basically garbage from a wrecked ship.
Okay.
And
right.
He's like, that kind of sounds like us too. And then another definition is just like homeless ladies, homeless people, bag ladies, stuff like that. People who don't fit in.
Okay.
And that kind of felt like us too. So
that fitted your image. You guys like the way that sounded. Like we are Flotsam and Jetsam.
We are for sure.
Debris floating along in the water. Forgotten about debris.
And having that name has not really done us any favors. You know, it's hard for people to understand. It's not something that they know immediately what it means or what it is.
Right.
So it's been kind of more of a hindrance than a help.
Right.
But the fact that it's very different is good.
Okay. Fair enough. So you have pretty much maintained the same voice throughout your career. Was there ever any you know, like when the grunge scene hit in the 90s, you know, Metallica had a couple of hiccups. Some bands started to kind of reformulate what they do. I think Def Leppard made a grunge album or started to look and dress more grunge. Was there ever any pressure from anybody for you guys to change your sound or for you to growl or for you to look or dress a certain way? Was there ever any corporate pressure to try to mold Flotsam and Jetsam into anything other than a thrash band at any point in their career?
Not really. There was a little bit of internal pressure, you know, when you see bands that came up with you at the same time that are getting bigger than you,
right?
You start going, okay, maybe we need to go in a little different direction, or maybe we need to go a little softer here, a little harder here, whatever. But
right,
really, at the end of the day, when we come out with a record, it came out however it came out, and there really was no direction for it. It's just whatever comes out naturally for us.
Now, I've seen online several rock journalists and just people commenting on No Place for Disgrace being a concept album. Is that a fair assumption of what you look at as No Place for Disgrace? And if it is, if people don't know out there, what is the concept? Love the cover art. It looks like the guy's about to commit seppuku and kill himself or have his head chopped off. Badass cover. Well, what is the concept behind it, or is there not one?
There really wasn't a concept. We knew what we wanted. We wanted, because of the song, No Place for Disgrace, we wanted, you know, a samurai guy getting ready to commit harikari on the front.
Yep.
And then we looked into it a little bit, and the proper way to do it is to have a buddy behind you after you stab yourself. He's supposed to rob your head off. So,
is he really a buddy? Is he really a buddy at that point anymore?
Well, and, you know, it's all about honor and going out the right way. So I guess
if you're my friend, you'll do this for me. Yeah.
Right.
So it's really not a conceptual album. People shouldn't look so much into it, right? That, you know, the songs aren't threaded in such a way for it to actually, you know, have a higher meaning.
It's really not. I mean, Doomsday for the Deceiver was really more of a conceptual album than No Place was. And, you know, speaking of that cover, we had Boris Vallejo, who's an extremely famous artist.
Yeah.
He did that cover artwork. And when we did the 2014 remake of the same song, same album, we wanted the next frame in time where the guy's already stabbed, his head's already been lobbed off.
Yeah.
Boris wouldn't do it. He said, no, that's too gruesome. I can't do that. And we're like, really? It's
too gruesome in this day and age? That's crazy, right? I mean, it seems like everything goes nowadays.
Right. But you know, artists are weird. So
now, how important is it to you as a vocalist to have the other guys in the band? Because it seems like you guys are known for anthemic type choruses, the other guys in the band getting on the microphone and singing along with you. Does that go into the thought process when you're writing songs, you know, like the other guys' strengths as singers? And do you like harmonizing with the other guys in the band, or would you just rather just do all the singing yourself? Or do you think harmonizing is a pivotal part of the music?
In the studio, I would rather them just stay away and let me do all of it. Live, though, I would like them all to sing a lot more than they do.
More than they do. Okay.
Most of them don't like to sing, and the ones that do kind of like to sing don't think they're any good at it, so they're very standoffish when it comes to a microphone. But
right.
Really, every guy in my band sings pretty well, and it's hard to talk them into actually doing it in front of people. So
yeah, but it can be intimidating, though. I could see where it could be intimidating. I think everybody, when they hear their voice back, at least their speaking voice, never seem too impressed.
I wouldn't play guitar in front of people. I would just be embarrassed beyond belief. So,
but do you play guitar?
No.
No.
I mean, I play 2 or 3 songs that I've written, but I couldn't tell you what key I'm in or what chords I'm hitting. So
right. So out of the guys in your band, you recently started working with drummer. Is it Ken Mary?
Ken Mary.
Has Ken Mary? Do you think? What do you think he's brought to the table as far as Flotsam and Jetsam? Do you think he's made you guys a better band? And I know it's hard to not say he hasn't because he's currently in the band, but you know, from a musical standpoint, though, is he a good bandmate, and has he made you guys play better?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
You
get
know,
that vibe off of him.
not only does he have a much bigger and extensive history in the music industry than we do,
Yeah,
but you know, there's two songs on Blood in the Water that he wrote.
yeah,
Blood in the Water is one of them.
yeah.
And then 7 Seconds Till the End of the World he wrote also.
Okay, yep. So he
And
brings
those are
something to the
two,
table big. He does.
yes, big time. And he's got his own really super nice studio, which helps. But you know, he's got a history and some experience that extends even past what we have after doing this all these years. So
Yeah, yeah,
he really knows what he's talking about. He has a lot to bring to the table when it comes to making business decisions and
yep,
musical decisions. And
yep.
you know, he's one of my favorite producers to work with when I'm singing now. He brings stuff out of me that I don't think I could get out of me, and he just pushes and pushes until it comes out. So he's a very good producer, an amazing drummer. And I just found out a few months ago that you know the show Full House?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was the drummer for Jesse and the Rippers.
No kidding.
Yeah,
On the show.
yeah. Go figure
that's
that.
that's
That makes him
crazy.
that makes him so big in my eyes you wouldn't believe. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, and John
forget
Stamos
the
himself is a drummer, right? I mean, he's done a lot of shit with the Beach Boys and stuff.
right, right. You know, but forget about the Alice Cooper and the Chastain and the Fifth Angel and the House of Lords.
You're most
He
impressed by
was the
Jesse and the
drummer.
Rippers.
Yeah, Jesse and the Rippers. That's huge.
So let me ask you this: when you had said down the street from me you have a dispensary. So to touch back on the current state of marijuana, I'm kind of an old school guy who started smoking way back when it was very taboo. Do you like all this government involvement? It's nice to see the laws loosened up, but I still like to go get a bag by illegal covert methods.
I still do once in a while. As a matter of fact, my illegal contact always has better stuff than the dispensary, so I still go that direction a lot. But the dispensary is very close. My contact is on the other side of town. So.
Got to keep those numbers handy, right?
Right, right.
Um, how long do you see yourself? Play music? I know a lot of guys are like, oh, from the cradle to the grave until the day I die. I'm all about rock and roll. But do you see yourself at some point hanging it up, or are you one of those guys that's like gonna do it till the day you die, or do you feel like there's a time when you will settle into a non-musician lifestyle?
I think I will probably change genres at some point.
Okay.
When my voice is not good enough to keep doing Flotsam stuff, I will probably switch to some Sinatra and go sing at a casino somewhere. But I will probably be singing and doing music until I'm, in the box underground.
You heard it here first. You could be seeing Eric AK at a casino near you very soon, doing New York, or My Way, or hey, maybe you can bring the big showmanship back. Well, will you come out with the rings and the Elvis style jumpsuit and give us the big show?
That would be great.
That would
I'd
be
love
great.
to do that.
Yeah, I kind of think that's kind of gotten lost in music. Like I said, seeing that movie really made me think that guys used to really give you the full performance. It wasn't just the songs; it was the spectacle.
Oh yeah, it was. Tom Jones. He had the full thing.
He did, yeah.
He was the first tight pants guy. So
yeah. Now, do you still, when you go out and tour, are they flyaway dates, or are you hitting a tour bus still?
We try to hit a tour bus. Right now, there's not a bus or a van available anywhere in the U.S., I don't think, because every band is out there going, yay, COVID's over.
Yeah. Now we can make some money. All right.
We were just on that small tour in Europe doing a bunch of festivals, and we had the crappiest piece of junk van you've ever seen in your life because there wasn't anything available. Every band out there is touring. So
and you guys end up with a driver, or do you guys have to take turns driving it yourself?
I usually drive.
You like to drive?
Yeah, I really can't sleep on a moving vehicle. I get too nervous, and I'm a pilot and a professional driver anyway. So
yeah,
I feel the most comfortable when I'm behind the wheel. So
yeah, you don't like being the co-pilot. Well, you know, your bandmate did go join a band and got that job because of an unfortunate bus tragedy with somebody else driving. You know, I mean, there's always got to be that in the back of your head. Do you think about that? Like when you try to, is that hard not to think about when you crawl into one of those? I think I referred to them the other night as like a coffin in the back of a in the back of a van. Is it scary to climb into one of those? Because you must have done it before and not been the driver. And does that race through your mind, like the safety of it all? Like you could just be in the middle of the night, like the Metallica boys, and just suddenly you're going ass over tea kettle.
Yeah, for the most part, we've always had some very professional, into what they're doing drivers.
Yeah.
But you know, back in the old Megadeth tour days, there were some drivers that I saw.
Who screens these guys? Yeah. Who?
In one hand, lines of coke, in the other hand, driving the bus. You know, and
Oh man, yeah, that's not good. Yeah,
it's scary. You know,
that's why when you get to be my level, man, it's private jets all day. It's as soon as I get, hey, listen, as soon as I get that David Lee Roth fortune, and the hard science comes back, and I get a little bit of that Panama 1984 money, I'm taking Flotsam and Jetsam out, and we're doing it big, buddy. I'm telling you.
All right, I'm in for that.
Have no fears, and you know, if by that point in time you need to rest the pipes, Rex Ruger's there for you, buddy. I'm there.
I appreciate that.
I could front the band. I'll keep those guys in line. I don't know if I can put away the Jack Daniels that you can, though. I mean,
well,
I might let the boys down there.
Yeah, it's not really the amount of Jack Daniels; it's how many nights in a row.
Now, knowing the Pantera boys, the stories of them were legendary with the black tooth grin. Could they really put it away? Were they one of the hardest partying bands you ever saw back in the day?
Yes,
they were.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you seen anybody out party them since?
Yeah, a couple, but
yeah.
You know, it all depends on what kind of partying you're talking about, because you know, I've seen when it comes to super hard drugs, I've seen Megadeth guys really have at it.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to just drinking, there's a lot of bands that deserve that title. So
yeah, if you got to go to that, if somebody is dropping Eric AK on a desert island out of a fucking airplane tomorrow, and you can only bring one album with you, what's the album you're taking with you? Just one.
I'm gonna say Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind.
What was it again?
Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind.
And why? And why do you choose that album? How does it make you feel? Because remember, you're going to be on a deserted island here, Eric. You're fucked.
I don't think there's any bad songs on that record.
So it's a record that you could be on this island and eating berries and leaves and potentially probably dying.
Right.
You'd be happy with that album playing. Bruce Dickinson's voice.
Yeah, I think I'd be all right with that one. I listen to that at least once a week, and I'm still not tired of it since it came out. I've been listening to it.
How about your own stuff? How often do you go back and listen to your own stuff? Is it just when you're going out on tour and have to kind of remember songs, or do you look back on your work and say, I can't help it, I'm a fucking fan?
I really am one of the biggest Flotsam fans there is. I listen to their stuff all the time.
I like to hear that, though. I hate these actors who get on TV and say, oh, I never go back and watch my own movies. Oh, perish the thought that I'm this brilliant actor. I wouldn't know. I don't go back and watch. I secretly think those people are full of fucking shit. They have to be. Come on.
I would think so. I mean,
why wouldn't you be happy with the stuff that you're putting out, right?
I'm pretty proud of it, so I like to listen to it, you know, years later.
If you got to put four faces up on the heavy metal fucking Mount Rushmore, who do you put up there? We've talked about Rob Halford. Is he up there?
Halford's up there.
Dio?
Dio's up there for sure. I'm gonna have to say, geez, I don't know.
Rex Ruger?
Rex Ruger.
Okay,
gotta be up there.
Thank you.
And geez, I don't know. There's got to be a guitar player up there too. So
Ozzy, is Ozzy up there? No Ozzy?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know. You know, Ozzy's a staple, but he's not really one of my faves. So,
he's not one of your faves.
He's not one of my faves, but he's definitely a staple in the industry, and we wouldn't be. None of us would be here without him. So, I don't know.
Who was the band? Who was the band that you first heard? I'm sure you've probably been asked this a million times. Who is the band that you first heard or saw that made you say, "Boom, right there"? That's what I'm doing for a living.
Kiss in 1979.
And what was it about Kiss? Was it just the spectacle, the theatrics, all of it just blew you away?
All of it.
Yeah.
It was my first concert I snuck into, and my first concert ever, basically. And it just blew me away. I left there with my whole life changed.
Well, you're probably one of Gene Simmons' favorite people because you put money in his wallet.
I did. I put a lot of money in his wallet.
Yeah,
I had all the posters of them on their Harleys and stuff, and the big poster, and I was part of the Kiss Army and all that crap. So
I think that's a pretty common answer. That seems to bond. That seems to be a common thread amongst metalheads. Kiss is just one of those bands.
Yeah, and as horrible as they are, they started it all off. So.
But what do you think when you see them on like these 4 or 5 year farewell tours? Do you think that all of a sudden they're becoming a little bit on the corny side, and do you start to think like enough is enough, or have they earned the right to kind of get their flowers and go on these big long?
I went and saw them a year ago, something like that, here in town.
Yeah.
And I was with the full makeup, the full show, right. The fires, the steps, the elevators, the whole thing. It wasn't anywhere near what I remember it being. It wasn't, but it was still cool to see. It was like a nostalgia thing. I was just like, That's cool. My first concert, here I am watching it again. It's still cool, but it's not, it wouldn't have changed my life now watching it.
Is it unfortunate? Is it unfortunate that the farewell tour is not doesn't include Ace and Peter?
That is unfortunate. It's also unfortunate that the farewell tour is not really a farewell tour.
So, right. So you think we will see more of Kiss then? These guys aren't going anywhere, right?
As soon as Gene thinks he's running out of money, he'll do something. So,
right. As soon as his net worth when his net worth falls below 500 million, he'll have to go back out again.
Right. Exactly.
I think we should just all be just writing out checks annually and just sending them over to kiss.com.
If that keeps them out of our face, that'd be great.
Now, I was talking to someone on here last night, I think Jason McMaster, and we were talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Is it unfortunate? First of all, where do you stand on hip-hop artists getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Should they have their own Hall of Fame? Do you like them getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Do you think too many of them are getting in before rock stars that have long deserved to be in there?
It should just be called the Music Hall of Fame if you're going to be letting anybody in.
Right.
But it's kind of cool that the Music Hall of Fame is called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
It pretty much puts it into perspective. To me, that says real music is rock and roll, and everything else is just we're letting you in because we're cool.
Right.
It really doesn't bother me. I mean, the Hall of Fame thing, the Grammys, all that stuff is all sales and popularity. It really has nothing to do with talent. So when you keep that in mind, it doesn't bother me who's in there.
Well, it's hard to give the music business a lot of credibility when, as a young Metallica fan in 1988, I'm watching the Grammys and Metallica's losing Best Metal Grammy to Jethro Tull.
Right.
What the hell happened there? Can you be metal and have a goddamn flute and get in the metal category?
I don't know. Rob Halford probably plays a skin flute, so maybe that's counts. I don't know.
And when he's not fronting Flotsam and Jetsam, you can catch him down at the Funny Bone doing his stand-up act. Eric A.K. Listen, brother, man, I could sit here and talk to you all goddamn day about thrash and just everything and just look at that nice beaming smile and just think there's one of my musical heroes right there who's giving me so much fucking face-melting music that I can't stand it, man. I mean, every Flotsam and Jetsam album has been great. People ask me, I say you guys are criminally underrated. Like the music business should just be put in shackles and handcuffs and carted right off to the fucking Huskow.
I appreciate that.
That's what I feel like right there, man. And I love the bands in the Big Four, man, but I'm ready for, now hear me out on this one. We put our promoter caps on and we make an all-day thing, kind of a la Lollapalooza, right? And we call it, and I don't know if this has been done yet, the Lot Festival, LOT, Legends of Thrash. Then we expand it to like 7 or 8 bands. Then we can get all those bands in there that we want. We make it an all-day thing. I don't think anybody would be hurt if they were on that bill and they were the 2 o'clock band. Lollapalooza used to start at 2, and the last band went on about 10 or 11 o'clock. Is that something that you would love to see happen? Would that not be great? You get out a band like that Max Cavalera's in, maybe like a Soulfly, a Violence, an Overkill, Exodus, all those bands that we talked about.
I would love that. And it wouldn't bother me at all to be the first band up on that.
Not at all, right? Now when you're playing with powerhouses like that, I mean, that's...
most bands that are not afraid to play after us deserve to be in that spot because they're better. Sure. So it doesn't bother me at all.
I mean, right now we are getting the Bay Area Strikes Back tour, so we are getting Testament, Exodus, and Death Angel out on a really nice package right now. But
which is a great tour.
We could do better though. I mean, why not 7 or 8 bands? You go out for like a summer. Why not, Eric? Why not?
I'd love it.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Is there any way that I can MC it and announce the bands? Can I announce your band?
I came up with this similar type of thing. I wanted to do Atrophy, Sacred Reich, and Flotsam and Jetsam, and call it Demons from the Desert tour.
Oh, I like that too.
I can't get anybody to jump on board with me. So
see, and I think when I was talking to that young man from Critical Defiance, and I'll pump his band one more time, hoping that people will watch this interview because of a legend like you on here. So I would like to help the kid, but I think when he reached out to me, I think he thought podcast equated to I could do something to kind of help their career, and I felt really bad that I couldn't. So I'm guessing that's kind of what he was looking towards, someone that could kind of help promote a tour or get them to the States. When you're a band from another country, is making it in the States, if you're a European band or a band from South America, is making it in the States imperative?
It's 2 different worlds. It's very hard to make it in the States. We're much bigger in Europe than we are here, but it's very hard to make it in the States. It's very hard to make any money in the States. It's very hard to get people to show up to the shows in the States. But it seems to be kind of the upper level of where all bands want to be is somewhere in the U.S., known and respected. It's just very, very difficult to get there. In Europe, it's so much. There's so many thrashers out there. There's so many metalheads that if you're a decent band at all, it's much easier to get to a higher platform there.
What's the biggest difference you see looking out over an American audience as opposed to like an Eastern European audience or some of the audiences over at the big metal festivals? Is it more enthusiasm? Is it more crowd surfing? Is it more moshing? Is it more singing along and knowing the words? What's the difference between the levels of devotion?
The U.S. fans some of them seem to be at the show to be seen at the show. And it really doesn't matter what band is playing.
I understand exactly what you mean when you say that. I do.
Right. And the European audience, they don't care if there's, 100,000 people there or if they're the only person there. They're there to hear the band.
Right. They'll come and watch you sound check. Yeah. I mean, they don't care. They're just fans, man. They just gobble it all up and just, ingest it all.
Exactly. Now, and they're not all that way in the States, but there's a good number of the crowd that is there just to hang out and be seen by the other people in the crowd.
What's one of the festivals that you guys have played that you really has stood out as a very enjoyable experience for you?
Oh, a lot of them. Grass Pop we just did was great.
Okay.
Hellfest, 192,000 people. That was a great festival. We've done a couple festivals over there that they say bands are only allowed to play the festival once, and we've done them 3 times.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that. That's the Keep It True Festival, Into the Grave. Those are all just great festivals that we do very well at, and people seem to really enjoy us there. So where do you
think what was I just going to ask you? Where do you think the best scene currently is right now in the United States for thrash music? I know we talked about your Arizona scene. Is there any place that's really churning out great metal right now in the United States? I know down in Florida, they've always been known for their, as you said earlier, their Cookie Monster bands down there, their growlers down there. A lot of anger and a lot of death metal coming from Florida. You do a lot of traveling and touring and stuff. And you obviously you probably have to pick up a lot of local bands to open and stuff here and there. Where do you see the most, happening scene right now?
It's a little different depending on where you are. I mean, the East Coast has always got some great metal bands, and they've always got a pretty decent scene there.
Yeah.
LA is always going to be the one push place that everybody starts from. So, but I've been to some podunk places in the U.S. that just crushed
Knock
as
your
far as
socks
the
off.
bands
Yeah.
and people showing up. Des Moines was one of the places I'm just like, okay, this is going to be a sleeper, and then we end up selling the place out, and it's the best party we've had in years. So
Yeah, I'm upstate New York, so I'm thinking of some of the dives around here. We get a lot of bands that come through Syracuse and play a place called the Lost Horizon.
Yep, played there a couple times.
That's a dive. That's the closest one that I usually go to. And then I know there's some out in Rochester way and Buffalo and stuff. And used to have Northern Lights down in Albany, I think. When you go to a metal club like that and you play a small club gig, do you like that more than playing these big festivals? Do you like having the people like right there in your face?
I do love that. I don't know if I like it more. It's extremely different from being at the big festival.
Right.
It depends. If we're in a small club and it's packed and the people are nuts, that's one of the best nights you can have. You know what I mean?
I like those shows too. Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah. Everybody's just bouncing off the walls and they're screaming in between songs, and they just love it. Those are some of the shows where you really remember those.
Yeah.
And, but same thing at the festivals. If you've got a packed festival and they're really responding well to you, that's unforgettable too. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's just different,
So 2021, Blood in the Water. How has the reception been? It's been over a year now. How has the reception been to the album? How has the album done? How has the album what kind of benefits and rewards has the album reaped for the guys in Flotsam and Jetsam? Has it performed well?
It did really well on the charts for us.
Okay.
There are a couple of songs from, like, for instance, the song No Place for Disgrace from that record.
Yep.
We can't do a show without playing that song. People will get angry at us.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of songs from the new record that are quickly getting to that point where if we don't play Brace for Impact, people just get angry. They're just like, why didn't you play that? So
right.
That's a good sign when people are requesting songs off the newer records. You've done something right. So how do you craft up a set list and walk that line between trying to get some of the newer stuff to become staples of the set and still satisfy the people that want to hear those songs? Who makes up that set list? How do you decide it? Is it a democracy? Do you all have input into choosing songs that go into the set, or how do you decide that? We we start off just making a list of what songs we have to play.
Yeah.
No Place, Hammerhead.
Right. Right.
If we don't
Staples
play
of your set.
people just get angry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we start off with those, and then we start off with whatever has the most hits on YouTube from the newer stuff, maybe.
Okay.
Because then we know that's going to be popular ones.
So there's some research that goes into it. Then you guys do look into the algorithm and the numbers, and you see what's popping in people's minds.
Yes, we do. And then from there, we kind of fill in, the blank spots to make a full set with whatever we wish to play off of our 150 song repertoire. So
that can be quite a daunting task then, right? Kind of whittling that down to how many songs you do in a night.
Yeah. And if we're going to Europe, there's other factors involved, like
what you can say, what you can't say.
Well, guitar tunings. If everything's in 440, great. We only have to bring one guitar. But if we're going to switch guitar tunings, now we have to bring an extra guitar. That's a bigger case we have to pay for through the airport. That's,
Right,
you know,
right,
all
right.
of these things come into the decision. But for the most part, we do the stuff that we know the fans want to hear. And then the rest, we just kind of vote on which ones we'd like to do.
So it's very democratic.
Yeah,
It's very
definitely.
democratic. Yeah, that's good. So are there songs sometimes though that the band brings up, or you know, like you know, and I'm not going to disagree with you. You are a fucking beast. You fucking can pull it off. But are there songs sometimes that you just feel like, you know what, tonight I just don't know if I can go there. I don't want to do that song, or songs that are harder for you to sing, where sometimes you just might not want to put them in the set list because they are more challenging, or
There's a couple songs off the newer records that I really kind of outdid myself in the studio. And there was some nights when, yeah, there's
yeah.
some nights I'm just like, yeah, we can't do that one tonight. You know, Blood in the Water, that song has got some super high stuff in it. And if I'm not in good shape one night, I'll swap that out for something else. Oh.
But it is nice as a guy though to be able to outperform yourself. I mean, that's got to be satisfying, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, a lot of times, you know, the record's all done, and I'll sit back and go, "What did I just do? How am I going
what
to
the
do that?"
hell did? Yeah, what kind of corner did I just paint myself into here? I have to sing this every night. Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, I give it the old college try anyway, but sometimes I'm just like,
So the next time, is there anything about the album that you do have a lot of songs already written for? Do you kick around titles? How does any of that work? Like, do you title the songs at the end after you've written them? Do you title the album at the end? When do you make decisions about artwork? Is all that kind of stuff? Do the songs come first before you make those decisions?
the songs usually come first. And sometimes the title of the songs will change as we go along.
Right.
Once we get all the titles and the lyrics all done, then we kind of come up with a tentative title for the record from that.
Is that also put to a vote? Is that also a democratic process? Like, what if you come up with a title for a song or an album and like two guys like it and a couple of the other guys don't, and is it hard to tell somebody, I think that title doesn't fit the song, or it flat out sucks? Are you guys able to be that candid and open with each other?
Absolutely.
You are.
We tell each other we suck all the time, so it's not a big deal. And you know, we try to have business and really intelligent reasons for why we do or not like something, instead of just like, yeah, I don't like that one, it reminds me of, you know, an ex-girlfriend or something stupid like that. You know, Blood in the Water was it was just a cool title to begin with for that song, and the gist of the song, what the lyrics mean, kind of felt like they worked for every title of the, you know, every song of the record.
Yeah,
so
it does.
That was kind of a natural record title for us for that one.
And it's also better to call your album Blood in the Water than put out an album like Metallica did and put jizz in blood on the album cover.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. That doesn't work at all. That wasn't very metal of them.
Yeah.
That was when I kind of lost them, and they kind of became the Metallica that I don't remember, because they were the first band that I ever saw in concert when I was 15. And, you know, so they made an indelible mark on me, and they've been a band that obviously I followed and championed all along. Now, when you see some of the missteps that the fans think they have made, and sometimes they've gotten a lot of flack for, and then all of a sudden they're not given their just due. How important are Metallica, though, really to your actual thrashing? I mean, they opened up all the doors, did they not?
They opened up all the doors. They definitely made metal a world renowned thing. I mean, there would not be a metal category in the Grammys probably if it wasn't for Metallica. So
were there bands who predated Metallica, though? You know, there's obviously the Judas Priests and you know, probably other bands that were around longer than them that were trying to create metal. But is it that Metallica just started the extreme version of metal? Is that what they get the most credit for? Because there were bands that were probably rocking just as hard as them before them.
I think Metallica just made it bigger, faster, harder.
Yeah.
But you know, Iron Maiden would have gotten us there anyway.
Yeah.
Just like Judas Priest would have gotten us there anyway.
Right.
But Metallica just did it very fast and very hard and right now. So
who found out?
Really put them.
Who found out that, or how did you find out that you could sing? Who came across you singing, or did you sing something to yourself and say, wow, I've got a knack for this? Or did somebody hear you sing and say, wow, you're very gifted at this?
I was in first grade.
Yeah.
I did a solo at a Christmas concert in front of 500 people and got the bug that night. And I've been, chasing the dream ever since. But I got up there and sang All I Want for Christmas Is My Two Front Teeth at 6 years old. And the minute the whole crowd got up and started cheering, I said, this is pretty much me.
Will we ever see a thrash metal version of All I Want for Christmas Is My Two Front Teeth on a Flotsam and Jetsam album?
We'll have to put back on the end of the title. All I Want for Christmas Is My Two Front Teeth back. Because I was in the pit and I lost my teeth.
I was gonna say it could be a very metal album cover with a guy with his top grill all busted out. I mean,
you're giving me some great ideas right now.
I got the Lot Festival. We got the Broken Teeth album cover. I'm there for you guys. I mean, if you guys want to put me on the payroll as creative consultant, I mean, you're getting a steal here. You're getting a guy with David Lee Roth hair. I got the pedigree. I can stand in for you when you need a little break.
Dude, you're the golden find.
I'm the hardest working guy in show business. I'm currently fronting 6 or 7 bands. I've got a punk band, the Ejaculators. I've got Come on the Rug. I've got the Jizz Drops. I got a million of them.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's all sleaze though, man. I think the guys in your circle would probably take one look at me and be like, Eric, you're losing your metal status here, man, hanging out with this guy. But as long as you don't care, I'm down to be buds, Eric. I'm down.
I do not have much of a metal status.
Hey, listen, I'd give anything to have this be my real hair. Believe me, man. I would. I can't grow. I can't grow it like this anymore. It's part of getting old. Oh, I lost it. There you are. I mean, now do you find, as a guy your age, how do you feel when you get out there on the road, like health-wise? Knock on wood, everything's going good health-wise?
Yeah. I do pretty good. I think I've been sick maybe 2 days of my life ever, so I stay pretty healthy most of the time. And the Jack Daniels keeps me all. The Jack Daniels keeps me.
I'm losing your camera. I'm losing your camera a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. But the JD keeps me. It keeps me disease free on the inside. So.
Yeah. Kind of just embalms everything and keeps you.
Yeah, I don't know why my camera's doing that now.
Oh, look at that. We get to see Eric on the move. Maybe he'll show us some of the stage moves. I could certainly get up and show you mine, man, but I don't want to, I want you to feel like the star today, Eric. I want you to be the front man in this, in this equation. Now, is there a lot of planning and preparation now that goes into embarking on a tour as you get older? I mean, do you find yourself having to bring like stool softeners and collace and vitamin C or like what's touring going to now? It's not just bringing a bunch of blowing bottles anymore with you, right? Now you got to really plan out, right?
And now it's my biggest fear now is being able to bring weed with me everywhere I go. But other than that.
Yeah, because the European over in Europe, they're not as lenient over there. Now is it always a big pain in the ass going into other countries?
No, not really. I mean, I always take a little bud or something, just stick it in a sock way in the bottom of my luggage, and I've never been harassed in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but, I was going to ask, when you're crossing the border and you look like a musician, long hair, and unfortunately you do get stereotyped or whatever, do you find that you get hassled, or do you travel so much now and got so many stamps on the passport that they kind of just know you're a musician? That can also work against you, though, right? Knowing you're a musician, they might think that you are trying to get away with shit.
Yeah, the only place I've really ever been hassled is going into Canada, so...
Oh, that's nice. Our neighbors to the north, our little brothers that we watch out for, and they got to bust our balls, huh?
Yes. They took my leather jacket out of the bus, and they basically tore the pockets inside out. I hadn't worn the thing in over a year. I just brought it because we were on tour.
Yeah, and you're in
And
Canada.
they found a dead roach about this big in one of the pockets of my leather jacket. Been in there for a year. I'm sure it wasn't even, and they wanted to throw me in jail over that shit. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, right? That seems a little bit extreme. I mean, yeah, I do like the fact that the laws have lightened up from a criminal aspect. I just have a hard time with the government being involved and taxing it, and now Big Brother's involved, and it just doesn't have that same like feel of when you used to go get yourself a good bag of weed back in the day, and you had to look around the corner to make sure. I mean, I like that adventure. I don't know. I mean, going to a dispensary and paying for a quarter what I would go and could get for a fucking ounce is kind of disheartening to me,
Yeah, if they used those taxes correctly and there
Yeah,
were no more homeless people around the streets because they're taxing weed, then
yeah,
I'd be good with it. But it's just going in somebody's pocket. So
yeah,
it's
yeah, and that's the part that makes me feel kind of slimy. Now, where do you stand? I hate to ask this dreaded question because I know it's it's the bane of a lot of people when they're asked this. But where do you stand in light of everything that's going on right now? Where do you stand politically, if I can ask?
I'm kind of a middle grounder.
Okay.
Um, there are a lot of things that the Democrats believe in that I agree with. There's a
Right.
lot of things that Republicans believe in that I agree with, but about half on both sides I think is complete bullshit.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's hard for me to go one party or the other. It's very hard because
Yeah.
they're so drastic in different directions. It's like, why can't you guys just get together a little bit?
Where did you stand on Trump?
I don't, I do not like Trump's personality. I think stuff.
Yeah, I
I
think you're
think
not alone
stuff,
there.
I think some of the stuff he did for the country was good, but at the same time, I don't think we've had a decent president since I don't know for decades now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you
you
can at
know,
least. I mean, at least Bill Clinton used the position to get blowjobs. So I mean, at least he leverages power for good.
and yeah, and he played the saxophone, so at least he
Yeah,
had
he
a
played the
couple of
saxophone.
pluses.
Yeah, so that makes him at least the most recent cool president we've had.
Right. I
Right?
don't think George W. was too bad compared to anybody since him, but really, I can't think of the last president we had that I was just like, yes, I feel so glad this guy's our president. I just can't. I can't think of one.
So we're not going to see a political ballot with Eric A.K.'s name on there, though. No political aspirations for you.
They wouldn't let me.
They wouldn't let you. But who would you like to see in there? Do you have anybody that you would like to see in there?
I don't know. Nobody who's a politician, that's for sure.
Could we get some write-in votes for David Lee Roth, or would he not do a good job?
No, he would not do a good job.
No, he
Definitely not.
I'm just trying to do anything to endear myself to him. You know what I mean? I got to do, once the DNA comes in and it's conclusive, that's when that's going to open up the floodgates right there. And, once the hard science is back, I don't think there's going to be any denying. Because, if you do the math, David Lee Roth is 67 years old. I'm 49. Now, I think it's safe to say that David Lee Roth was getting busy with chicks by 18 years old. Wouldn't you say? A young Diamond David?
For sure.
So the math adds up, it could be feasible, could it not?
I don't see why not.
Okay, so here's the ultimate question then right here. And there's only one right answer to this, Eric, and I hope as a vocalist you can get it right. David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
But
You like the Sammy stuff?
I like Sammy's stuff as Sammy. I don't know if I like his stuff too much as Van Halen.
Weren't crazy about him in Van Halen.
I can't say I didn't like it. I would say that I liked David Lee Roth better in Van Halen.
More power
But
ballad.
I do like Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, yeah.
But in Van Halen, I think I like David Lee Roth better.
That's the right answer, my friend. That's the right answer. I think now you guys are definitely going to stay my favorite thrash band. I'm not going to lie to you. It runs neck and neck with you and Violence all the time with me. So you're always
I love
right
Violence.
there. You're always
Those guys are great dudes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I love Violence. That doesn't bother me at all to be right up there with them.
I'm hoping at the beginning of August, he told me that he'll come on, Sean Killian, the singer. So you must be aware, being in that circle, everything that he's been through physically, correct?
A little bit, yeah, because we did a couple festivals with them not too long ago. And
is it absolutely amazing, though? I mean, is it absolutely amazing to think of, the problems he had with his liver and getting the transplant and not only surviving, but coming back and rocking probably harder than he's ever had? I mean, when you think of him doing that as a singer yourself, I mean, is that crazy?
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle that. I think I might at some point thought a little bit about giving it up,
Yeah. That's a testament to that guy's strength. And I mean, and let's face it, as much as I love the way Flotsam and Jetsam rolls off the tongue, I mean, is there any arguing about the name Violence? I mean,
it's a pretty good name.
I talked to Bobby Gustafson one night, and I said, you've landed in probably 2 bands that have great names, Overkill and Violence. For fuck's sake, that's like hitting the jackpot right there.
Right. Those are great band names.
But I consider myself an honorary member of Flotsam and Jetsam. I don't care.
Well, one of the best band names ever is Free Beer.
Yeah, you know what?
And everybody's showing up. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure where I stand on Sodom, though. That was always kind of a weird one for me.
Yeah, it almost makes you feel creepy to go watch them.
It kind of does. Yeah, it kind of does. I made a battle vest during quarantine, and I put one of their patches on because they rock so goddamn hard. But then when I look back on it, I fucking think, God damn, if somebody sees the word Sodom sewn on my back, though, like, where does that put me in people's minds? You know what I mean? Like, is all of a sudden somebody gonna, like, I don't know, drop a phone call to the FBI or something? Or, yeah, you do. You feel dirty.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a lot of bands like that. Rotting Christ and just there's all kinds of,
yeah.
Dying Fetus. That's another good one.
I did used to, yeah. I got, now, it's funny you say that, though. Are there people out there, or have you heard of people who have actually felt guilty for listening to bands because of the names like that? Do you think sometimes some of these bands go a little too extreme to the point where it kind of becomes crude? Or do you just think it's heavy metal, man? Fucking do whatever you want.
For the most part, it's heavy metal. Do whatever you want. But
so calling your band Dying Fetus is you just kind of fucking look at it as like, they're just trying to be extreme and get attention.
Yeah, it's the whole shock rock thing. You try to shock people as much as you can and make them interested, at least to go watch once.
Yeah.
And you only need a few people to like it to end up with a crowd the next time around. So
yeah. Well, probably like I said about 15 minutes ago, and then I went into another fucking soapbox. It's been a pleasure talking to you, sir. It really has. This is Eric AK from Flotsam and Jetsam. If you don't know who the fuck he is, like I tell everybody, you should be taken out and impaled on a fucking rusty spear. How's that for a song title? Hey, Eric, you can have that one. Impaled on a rusty spear.
That's the next album title.
Coming soon to a Flotsam and Jetsam album near you. I got to do a little product placement. You remember this from the 80s?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is this really what caused the hole in the ozone layer?
No, I don't think so.
All those broads with 5 foot tall hair back in the day?
Yeah, it could have been. There was a lot of hair sprayed with that stuff.
Yeah, but those broads weren't coming to Flotsam and Jetsam shows, right? They were front row at Motley Crue and Warrant, right? I mean,
they've probably never even heard of Flotsam and Jetsam.
And you know what?
Broads.
This is why girls are always going to be playing second banana to us. We got,
That's
we know.
That's right.
Well, listen,
the hope is always that, it used to be, if you got a band that brings girls in, the guys will show up too.
Right.
But our hope is that we go the other way around. If we have a place packed full of metal dudes, the chicks will start showing up too.
Oh yeah.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. No, it kind of backfired, huh? Yeah. It's pretty much just for sweaty guys who want to, get in a mosh pit and rub up against each other and high five and act ignorant.
Our crowd is usually 300-pound Native American drunk guys. So
really, that's the Flotsam and Jetsam demographic right there.
It is. We have a lot of Native American friends here in Arizona, and they love us.
Hey, it's always been they should be. I love you, brother. I do, man. I appreciate you spending goddamn near 2 hours with me, man. That was very generous of you, man. I had a blast talking to you, man. Thank you for coming on Pod Scum. I can't thank you enough, man, for giving a fucking idiot like me 2 hours. I mean, you're the best, man.
Anytime, brother.
And I hope you go tell your friends that you talked to the offspring of David Lee Roth, because now you're a hero. In essence, you met the son of the man. You did. I mean,
can you sing a little Ice Cream Man for me?
I'm your ice cream man. Stop me when I'm passing by. See? I'm telling you, man, right?
Awesome.
Hey, it was fun talking to you, man. I love you to death. I hope you'll do it again with me sometime, man. Had a blast, man.
Anytime, brother.
Thank you, man. It's 2021's Blood in the Water was the fucking thrash masterpiece of that year, and it continues to be. And people should go out and listen to it, and they should definitely go back and check out Doomsday for the Deceiver and No Place for Disgrace and every goddamn album you've put out in between. How many has there been? 14 of them?
14.
And they've all been fucking face melters, man. And I love what you guys. I love what you guys do, man. Best of luck. Safe travels, man. When you do go back out on tour, if we don't talk before then, man. Love you to death, brother. Thank you so much, man.
All right, thank you, bro.
Good talking to you, Eric. Take it easy, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye, brother. Yes, audience, you can thank me. That was 2 hours with Eric. AK. Yep. He's like an AK-47, man. Boom, 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 boom. When he spits them lyrics at you, man. As the frontman for the legendary Flotsam and Jetsam. You know him. You love him. And what's not to love, right? The guy's just the fucking salt of the earth guy. We love him, man. We love that band. Criminally underrated. Flotsam and Jetsam. In the year 2021, they put out Blood in the Water. You should go back and listen to that. And you should go back and listen to seminal albums like Doomsday for the Deceiver in 1986 and 1988's No Place for Disgrace. These albums will change your life. They will make you become a man. Hair will start to sprout on your balls if it's not already there. Hair will sprout on your chest. Girls will start to look at you and lick their lips. You will become a fucking man. So until next time, folks, see you next time on Pod Scum. This is your bastard of ceremonies, Rex Ruger, bidding you adieu.